Today we'll be looking at the third principle of animation, staging, so stay tuned. Hey guys, my name is Eon and welcome to my Start Animating YouTube channel, the channel that is specifically aimed at everyone that is starting out at animation. And if that is you, well then you are at the right place. So make sure you click on that subscribe button and also click on that little notification bell so that I can notify you every time when I upload a new video. And then also if you are new to animation and you are just starting out or you don't even know where to begin, well I've got some great news for you. I've got a free video training that I can give you. It is absolutely free. Just go in the description box below. There's a link. Just click there, sign up, and it's like an hour and a half video. And by the end of that video, you would have worked alongside with me, and you would have created your very own animation. And that is so important for me because the only way that you will be able to get better at animation and improve your skills is if you start animating. And that video is a perfect way for you to begin. Even if you've never animated before, you can work alongside with me, and by the end of the video you would have created your very own animation, and you would have learned the basics, mouth movements, keyframe animation, all of that. So make sure if you are new to animation to go and take that free online video training. Now, as I've mentioned, today we'll be looking at the third principle of animation, which is staging. Now, I will divide staging into three sections. The first one is balance, to create a nice balance on your screen, on your animation screen. The second one is the flow, to make sure the audience is aimed or is looking at the right areas where you want them to focus on. And then finally, it is to tell the story so much better. So always focus on these three things. Okay, so the first one is balance. Now, it is very important to make sure that your scene is nicely balanced. Now, those of you who do photography or have done art or painting or anything like that, you will know exactly what I talk about when I say the rules of thirds. So what you need to do, if I go to my screen here, is what you need to do and always remember is to divide your screen into thirds. Okay? This is now not perfectly, but a lot of your graphic designing software will have grid lines. So make sure you divide your screen into thirds, and then you, the rule of thumb is, but you can always break it, is you never place something in the middle block, like your main focus should never be in the middle block. So you can have something in the middle. So let's say, for instance, let me create a new, let's just drop the opacity. Let's say you have a close-up of a character looking into the camera. So maybe you can have his head here, that's his neck, and just his shoulders, and maybe he's quite angry. So even though he is in the middle of your screen, his focus point, his face, is not in that center block. So the first thing you need to do is to apply the rule of thirds when you create your scene. Now, if we go to the animation software, now right here I've got two characters that I've created. So if you're interested, I do create characters that you can purchase on the Start Animating website. So just go to startanimating.com. These two characters are also for sale. They're already rigged and ready for Cartoon Animator 4. But in any case, so what you can see here, this blue square is your screen. Okay, so now you want to create a nice balance. So what you don't want to do is to have these two have a chat with each other and they're off center. As you can see, it just doesn't look right. So obviously you want a nice balance, so you make sure they are situated there. Or if you want to zoom in closer, you can maybe make sure that both of them are on that third those grid lines, those thirds, then you know your scene is nicely balanced. So when you want to do a close-up as well, then let's do a close-up on this girl. Then you don't want to put her in the center, because that, even though her face is not in the middle block, it doesn't look right because she's talking to someone. So you want to put her on that the rule of thirds again, on that grid line, on that third. So you put her off center. As you probably know, that grid line will go right there, and the second one is there. So now it looks more balanced. And the same if the scene goes back to this character, you don't want to put him there. The open space is at the wrong side. So again, you want him to put him on this grid line there. So when they talk and you have your close-ups, it just looks so much natural. It looks balanced. So the first thing you need to do is make sure that your scene is nicely balanced. Now the second one is flow. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you keep your audience focused at the areas where you want them to focus on. So for instance, you don't want too many things going on in your scene at the same time. So space it out. Make sure that nothing overlaps. So if something is happening, the key piece of action needs to stand out. There shouldn't be any distractions. If something happens after that, then make sure it happens afterwards and there's enough time to respond or for your viewer to go from the first main action to the second one. So make sure the flow is right. Now I want to show you something here. I've got a character. Now this looks out of balance. Okay, so obviously you want your character to be on the third. So you want her, this looks more balanced because you want her to look at the open space. But when I do this, I've put it on this side. Now what I can do is remember, the audience will, most of the time, their eyes will follow the open spaces. So that's why with the dialogue that I've showed you earlier, you put your character off center looking towards the open spaces. It just looks so much balanced because the character is looking that direction and the audience will look that way as well, and the audience will also know that the character or the person your character is talking to is on the other side. But now in this instance, this character is looking to the smaller side and the open space is behind her. But when I say you want the flow of your scene right, if I press play, I've got something, a surprise here. Because your characters will, or your viewers will look at the open spaces, what will happen if I press play here? You've got a character sneaking up on your other character. Now all of a sudden that makes sense because when the viewer looks at this scene, this girl standing here, it is almost as if the viewer is expecting something to happen behind her, and that is when the character walks in. So you want the audience to focus on one thing at a time. So they see the girl stand there and they wonder, okay, there's open space behind her, what's going to happen? And once the audience have registered something needs to happen, then your character walks in. But if your character walks in from the first frame, your audience haven't really triggered yet or came to the to realize something is about to happen. So when it comes to the flow of your scene, the second part of staging, make sure that nothing overlaps. Make sure the audience have time to understand what's going on in the scene. Now the last thing about staging is to tell the story in a visual way. Now what do I mean about this? You see, let me give you an example. Let's say you've need to create a scene of a teenage boy. So you need to draw the room of this teenage boy. Now I'm just going to do a rough sketch, so I'm not going to go into detail, but let's say so there's the corner, there's the window, maybe his bed is right there. So I'm just drawing this very roughly. There's a pillow. And now you think, okay, it's a boy room, so let's just make the wall blue, and maybe the bedding also like a bluish color, because blue is normally represents boy. And now you think you've done it, the audience will really know this is a teenage boy. But really you haven't told the story. So let's just and delete. Okay. You haven't really told the story. So you want, yes, you maybe told the audience this is a room of a boy, but you haven't told them that it's a room of a teenage boy. So if you really want to tell the story so much better, maybe add posters of rock bands, lots of posters on the wall. Okay, you can maybe add a soccer ball or a basketball lying around, maybe with a baseball bat. Because normally a teenage boy's room is a mess, so maybe you can add some laundry, dirty laundry and socks lying around, his school bag. So you can add so much to the scene that tells the audience that this is a room of a teenage boy. You can have a PlayStation somewhere with the controls lying around. There's so much things you can do. So make sure that when you create your scene, that the scene can tell the story on its own, so that when the viewer watch your animation, they can, without any dialogue, without any words, without the character even being in the scene, the audience will know immediately this is a room of a teenage boy, because this is how messy. Or another thing, you can even make the bed is not even made up. It is just you get the picture. So make sure that when you create your scene, the scene tells the story on its own without even any dialogue, without any animation. That is also the third part of staging. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comment box below if you really enjoyed this series of 12 principles of animations. Remember, I create a video every week, and I'll also add the playlist down in the description box below if you want to go and watch all the other videos as well. And remember to hit that subscribe button and also click on that notification bell so that you can get notified every week when I upload a new video. So guys, that is it for me. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Till next week, God bless and goodbye.